Building an airplane is an incredible opportunity, but sometimes it can feel like driving through the fog. It can be a challenge to figure out, what to do next. And it's not that the instructions aren't clear, but sometimes you need to wait on inventory, buy a new tool, or even learn how to complete one of the tasks that you'll be doing on your build. In today's video, I learned this lesson firsthand. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where I explain how to minimize the frustrations that can be associated with this as I continue working on my Bearhawk companion. Alright, so today I'm back down in here and I got my little helper here with me. And just a little bit of an update on where we're at. So the hardware breakout that I got from Bearhawk, which was just drop shipped material from Aircraft Spruce, it had the wrong quantities on the actual sheet. So they sent me the correct inventory, but the inventory spreadsheet was wrong. And here I can even show you part of this. Alright, so these are the fittings that I need. These are just straight union that comes through the bulkhead. It's a bulkhead union, really is what this is. And in reality, what ended up happening was one of these, and I don't remember if it's the top or the bottom, one of those is designed to show flow when you have the aux pump turned on or the aux tank's transfer pump turned on, and it's a T. So the way that the inventory is set up currently, they do have two of these bulkhead unions, but the problem is they also had the T in there, one for each wing, so that way they could see when the fuel was being transferred out of the aux. So long story short, I made a note. I'm kind of keeping a, I would just call it like a change log of things that when I get done, I can hand back to Virgil and say, hey, here is a list of things I would update or I would change for either clarification or accuracy. And this is one of them. So unless there's going to be a auxiliary tank, you only need 4 of the bulkhead unions, not 2 of those and 2 T's. That fortunately got resolved. Virgil got them to me. I've already got them installed here. So at this point, the plan is to get started with these fuel tank covers, and I'm going to find the nut plates over here in my inventory box. I haven't been able to spot them just yet, so I'm going to go find those, and then we will actually jump into doing this part of the build, doing the riv nuts and prepping for those around the tank bay.
Is that firewood?
It is. Here, you can play with that now. There you go. Alright, so we got our build manual clipped on here, as well as the diagrams kind of showing what to do and what not to do. I just got tired of walking back and forth from the table to this. And we're going to get started with this. We're going to Cleco our perimeter, and then we're going to drill out what looks like to a number 27 hole. And then from there, we're going to start prepping the ones that we're going to do, and then prepping the ones that we're not going to do and just leaving them. We are Clecoing the skin together, buddy. These are like little clamps. Watch. You see how Daddy squeezes it? And it comes together like that? When it can't go in the hole right here. It's too big. But if Daddy squeezes it, it gets a little smaller. And then you can slide it in the hole. And then when you let it go, it squeezes the metal together to where Daddy can rivet it. And that's what Daddy's doing. He's got to prepare all these holes, and then he's got to...
I stopped so I can turn it back into that.
Thank you. That's so helpful.
After prepping the bays to drill, I started looking for the nut plates and ran into an issue to where I could not find them in any of the hardware items, nor any of the things that shipped from Bearhawk. So I ended up reaching out to Bearhawk, and they got back in touch with me very quickly, and we realized that some of the components that I need for this build accidentally got left in Oklahoma. So I spent the rest of the day looking over the build manual and just studying what I would be doing on the upcoming steps.
All right, I'm back down in the hangar this morning. So long story short, those nut plates don't ship from aircraft sprues. They, at least in my scenario, they came directly from Oklahoma. They were in the kit itself. So Virgil is gonna drop ship me the nut plates that I need to install this. That one, it was just an omission. Somebody didn't put it in the box that they were supposed to. And I have double and triple checked all of my inventory and everything back in the video when I shared organizing the aircraft. Everything that was in there, I labeled, I noted in a spreadsheet and put it in those boxes. So I know for sure I didn't have it, and he's gonna just send it to me. So today, instead of really getting started doing much more than I'd already done on this wing, I'm just gonna drill out these number 27 holes around this perimeter, and we're gonna go from there. So I'm not bouncing back and forth and stuff right now, but I am just kind of having to find what I can do because I don't have certain things. Hopefully that won't be the case for you. Hopefully everything will, come correctly, but 9 times out of 10, you are gonna run into some snags like this, and being flexible enough to figure out what you can do is gonna help you make some progress on your kit when there are things you can't. So let's jump into that today. All right, now that I've got all of those done, I'm gonna replace those number 40 Clecos with number 27s, the copper ones there, so that way I can pull all those and then drill those holes as number 27s. Let's get on it.
You need no less than 100 of the copper Clecos and probably 200 of the silver ones, and that's a number 27 and a number 40 drill bit size Cleco. And a lot of that comes on these bays right here. Now, if you do these individually like I'm doing, I'm only doing the right wing currently, and then I'm about to start on the left wing when I finish it, then you can do about half those numbers. This is a great task, by the way, if you've got, a nephew or niece or even just family member that wants to watch you do this or even help you with this. This is something easy that they can assist with that's a little bit time consuming.
All right, so I ordered 50 of the 011 138, which is the copper Cleco here, this number 27 drill bit hole, and I used 48 of them on this side. So you definitely need probably about 100 of those to build this kit. I just reordered some more just to have some extra. But just going around looking at it, this is kind of, you get this cool little pattern of every other one is copper and silver. And now I'm gonna remove all the silver ones and drill all of those holes out. And I'm just gonna leave the copper ones installed as I get ready to chase the nut plates and prep them for riveting.
After drilling all the holes, I removed all the Clecos except for the corner ones, just so that way I could run a chip chaser through and clean up any of the internal burrs that might have occurred. I then deburred everything and then cleaned up all of the shavings that I had made on the ground here. I highly recommend keeping your workspace clean and your tools organized as you go through this build, just to make your life simpler and less hectic, especially if you inadvertently have to walk away from the build for a few days.
every time I finish one of the pages on this build manual, I'm actually cleaning up all of my tools, putting them away. Even if I'm about to roll straight into something that is very related or something that I need the tools that I am, using. What I'm doing is I'm trying to make it to where I have a very neat and clean workspace for the entirety of this build in the event that I get pulled off or I have to go home and check on something, or I walk away from it for hopefully not a day or two, but for a day. And then when I get back, I have to figure out, okay, what was I doing? Where's all my tools? So by doing this, I'm sort of allowing myself to complete certain pages or certain items on a page, and I'm putting all the tools up, getting them all out, and getting ready to go again. Now that we have upsized these holes from a number 40 to a number 27, the next step is, while those clecos are still in there, every other one of those are clecoed, we're gonna take this tool, and this is a K1000 Nutplate template. So let me grab a nut plate. So this is how the nut plates end up coming from Bearhawk. These actually should be in, I think, your wing box. I'm not really for sure. And all they are, and I'll try to show it to you here, is a number 6 screw will go into the actual fastener on this nut plate, and then 2 rivets are on either side of it. That's a K1000 nut plate. The K2000 is basically the screw hole is on the end, and there's 2 rivets on the edges. There'll be some riveting things later on in this build that are K2000s, but right now all we're doing is K1000s. This tool is a nutplate jig, and this is what's so cool about this. So you can see on this nutplate jig there is a single peg on this side, and then a hole on nearest it, and then one a decent way off there. On this side there's a large hole, which is actually a number 27 screw, and a small hole, which is a number 40. So the way this works is you actually place the large hole, on the number 27 hole that we just drilled out. Then the smaller hole is a number 40 drill bit. So you take your number 40 drill bit, you drill through it, and then you flip it over, and as you do, the hole here goes into that hole you just drilled, and if it's a K2000, you drill beside it. If it's a K1000, which is what all of these are, you drill on the other side of the large spot. So this is what I'm going to be using to drill out all of these holes and get us set up for countersinking, which will be the next thing that we do.
I know there are some builders out there that have done this just using the nut plate as a jig, and I can tell you right now, I tried that, and this is 100 times easier. This thing is worth its weight in gold. Highly recommend it.
All right, so we have taken the K1000 and we have drilled the holes for all of the rivets all the way around the perimeter here. Now it's time to countersink them, and to countersink, I'm using what's called a micro stop. This is a really, really cool tool that allows you to set up to an individual thousandth of an inch in depth. And what the tool actually allows you to do is to cut away some of the metal for a 100-degree countersunk rivet. This is going to allow us to have a flush rivet. This is what gives us such great cruise performance, reducing drag. But to do that, I've got to actually use this countersunk rivet tool, a micro stop. So you can kind of see inside of this micro stop, it's a 3-fluted drill bit, and this will set in the drill, and then I will simply put the micro stop on the metal, push, and a component of that drill, I guess what you would say is that cutting surface would be extended, and it would actually cut away and countersink that. So that's what we're going to do. Now, you have to set this very carefully. So I'm going to use some scrap metal to set this. I'll demo this as another maintenance item, maintenance practice in a different video. But that's what I'm going to be doing, is countersinking all the number 40 rivets first. So I'm leaving the number 27 cleco in the center. And then once I've got this set, I'm just going to rapid fire go through and countersink all of them. Now I'm going to actually get the number 27 countersink flute or bit out here, and I'm going to remove it. Now the best way I know how to remove this is I just use a pick. I run the drill backwards and loosen it up, put the new one in, and I'm ready to go. But we've got to countersink the center holes. The center holes are for the dimpled panel on top. Well, we dimple that panel, so the dimpling needs to recess down inside of these countersinks. So that's why we're countersinking. All right, I'm going to test this, see if it's the right depth, and then we will get started. All right, so I'm realizing that I'm going to have to do this entire process again on a second wing. So I really briefly want to run through what it should look like starting at the first step all the way to the end. Now, I've already countersunk, I've already done all these, so I can't like demo it, but I'm gonna fake demo it and explain to you guys every step that you should be doing in case there is somebody that's interested in doing this. All right, so you're gonna start off by upsizing the center hole from a number 40 to a number 27. Then, using the nutplate tool, drill out one side, then flip it around and drill out the other side for the K1000. That would be this hole right here. You're going to set your micro stop tool and you're going to do the number 40s on the left and the right. You're going to get your number 27 and you're going to set the center hole for the number 6 screw. So first thing is upsize your nutplate jig, doing the left and the right. Then you're going to countersink. Then you're going to countersink the center. And basically you do every other rivet, and then you flip those to where this would then move into the center of this hole. I've just done all of them already. And then you do the same thing over again. So you're duplicating that twice.
Next, you're going to actually go ahead and rivet the leading edge of the tank bay in place. This is the only one you can rivet at this time.
Today I want to talk briefly about selecting rivet length, because there is a specific rivet length that you're supposed to utilize for these type of projects. And I'll go into more detail on rivet coding and stuff in a different video, really the A&P videos that I'm doing in conjunction with the tasks that I'm doing associated with this build. But what I'm doing today is I'm adding up my material thickness, including the nut plate, and then to figure out if you've got to cut the rivet or what size to use, you take the total thickness and then you add that to 1.5 times the diameter of the rivet being used. So if you add all that up and then add your 1.5 times rivet thickness, you get about 0.22 something. And if you go to the next longest rivet, that's a 0.25 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. And so that's why these rivets are calling for the AN 426, which is the countersunk head. And I know it's incredibly small, you're not going to be able to see that. But it's the 100-degree angle countersunk head, and it is a 3/32 or a -3 rivet in diameter, and then it is a -4 in length.
I'm using a hand squeeze rivet tool here to squeeze these rivets because they're so close to the edge. You obviously could buck these if you wanted to practice, but this will go much faster, plus it's going to be quieter without the air compressor running. Once I got the tool set, I then went over and clecoed one side of the rivet into place and then inserted the rivet onto the other side.
I've got the plastic pulled out of the way. I've got one cleco set. I'm going to insert my rivet. Now the key on this is, because this is where the head is, I don't want to accidentally pull this back towards me any. I want to squeeze it, almost putting pressure onto the wing as much as I can without really moving it here. I'm going to reach through and grab the back side of it. Then just grab and while applying pressure here, go ahead and compress that down. If I can do everyone that way, I'll be good.
I did not do them all that way.
Okay, I'd like to say that this was a intentional, common mistake that I am demonstrating how to fix, but unfortunately, you know, measure twice, cut once. Well, double check your nut plate before you go pulling a rivet. So I swore it was in, and it was obviously not. Okay, so in my case, I've got a number 40 drill bit on the drill, and then I'm going to take a punch that's got a point on the end of it here. I'm going to line it up in the indentation, and all I'm doing is just trying to make a little bit more of a divot.
After setting the punch, I ended up taking the number 40 drill bit and just dead center of the head, drilling out at a pretty good pace the rivet. If you've done this correctly, it will punch the entire rivet out and you'll actually get a little bit of a tail stuck there on the drill. I do recommend going slow right off the bat while you seat the drill, and then you can drill at regular speed to punch the rivet out. Be very careful not to accidentally upsize this hole or get it off center while you're doing that. I wish I could say that I was doing this to demonstrate, but I truly messed up on literally the second nut plate that I was squeezing in this project after I just squeezed one and said if I could do it like that, it would be perfect. So I'll illustrate this a couple times, but going slow is going fast when you're building an airplane. Take your time, look at what you're doing, get into a rhythm, and be careful.
Alright, so I've got all of the K1000 nut plates done. I'm actually getting ready to do these corner nut plates. And I did the math, and I need a little bit longer of a rivet for that. So I'm going over and I'm grabbing my AN 3-5s here. So this is a 3-5, slightly longer than the 3-4 by a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to install those on the corners, and then I'll be done. Which means that I'll have through basically up to the start of page 10 on the right wing alone done. I haven't even started on the left wing here, like I've got to set everything up and do it. But it's awesome to be able to have one side of it finished through what is legitimately 1/4 of the build manual. So I've just wrapped up the second wing tank, and it's actually getting pretty late here. I wanted to jump on real fast and wrap this video up just discussing some of the lessons learned, as well as just kind of, I think right here at the beginning of this build, I've learned a very valuable lesson that I want to share with you all. First, make sure that about every 1/5 of the nut plates you are verifying the depth that the microstop is still correct. I don't really know what was going on, but right at the beginning, the depth seemed to be changing on me. I don't know if I wasn't pushing down hard enough or not, but it would seem like some of my drills were a little bit shallower than they had been previously. So I had to kind of tweak that, and every 5th nut plate I started checking it, and that really helped me to be successful for the rest of the way. Also, it's way easier to cut more metal off than dealing with cutting too much metal off. As a matter of fact, I'm not 100% sure exactly what I'm going to do there, but I may just have one that's recessed a little bit lower than the rest. Take your time, go slower than faster, because going slow is moving fast on this thing. And then the other one is, you know, I think when I came into this, 99% of the inventory and the aircraft, it's 99% perfect. But don't let that 1% of confusion or frustration put you into a little bit of a tailspin. So it started out with the inaccuracies on the inventory for the bulkhead unions. That kind of not got me on edge, but sort of made me a little bit nervous. And then the very next, basically, day, I don't have these nut plates. Now I'm set back another few days. Be willing to recognize, I don't know what I'm doing here, or I don't have what I need to do this. So I'm going to move on to something else that I can do, or look into how to do it, put the wrench and screwdriver down and start figuring some stuff out. The other thing is communication. Whether that is, direct with someone, or it's using previous communications that have occurred. So when I ran into an issue with these nut plates, I started off with the actual build manual itself. Not the Wings build manual, but the overarching Bearhawk book, so to speak. Then I went into the Wings build manual, sort of reviewed that. Then I got online and looked at the Bearhawk tips, or Bear tracks, I think is what they call them, just to see, am I missing something here? Eventually just led me to calling Bearhawk themselves. Learning that lesson this early has really helped me, because I don't know, there was just some anxiety about not having what I needed, it not being part of the kit. And I've kind of realized this is a game of hurry up and wait. And if you can't handle a little frustration when it comes to not having exactly what you need, or somebody sending you the wrong components or something like that, that can happen at Spruce or Wix or wherever you're getting your hardware from. Don't be afraid to question what you see and then get clarification for it. So I hope something in this has been entertaining or enjoyable, and it's just kind of showed where I'm at in this process. In the next video, we're going to actually continue on doing these nut plates, both the end of the wings, the wing root and the wing tip, they'll need nut plates, and we will just keep on going. I'll see you in that one. Have a great rest of your day.